What's good, ladies and gentlemen? So, I just want to let you know that I have posted yet another Tao of SK Wealth Academy podcast, episode number 25. If you're wondering where you can find all these podcasts, you can go to the Tao of SK Wealth Academy podcast. So, that's TAO, Tao, the Tao of SK, Smart Knowledge, SK Wealth Academy podcast .blueberry, BLUBRRY.net. And there you can find the entire archive, because I'm not posting on YouTube, as YouTube has just gone bonkers in their deplatforming and demonetizing and censoring of all information. And if I had posted this podcast here, it probably would have been censored, because the title of this podcast is Drawing Back the Veil on Universal Truth. So just to give you a brief idea of the topics of which I speak about in this podcast, one is our basic human right. Actually, I feel is the most basic human right of all, that is denied in all 193 nations of this world by central bankers. And that is our right as human beings to use sound money, because the unsound fake fiat currencies in use all over the world today imposed upon us. There is no monetary competition. There is no monetary choice. So that imposition really is the origins of all suffering and misery in around the world today. And this is not just something that I believe, but that great thinkers through this world, such as Aristotle, had condemned usury. There was Saint can't remember his name. I was going to say Saint Aquinas, but that's not the saint. But there was a Catholic priest who was known as a really strong critical thinker that also condemned usury as the origin of misery and suffering, economic suffering among people. You had U.S. presidents like John Adams, Tom Jefferson, that condemned, again, the type of fiat currencies we have today and the type of fractional reserve banking system. So if you want to learn about why it's so difficult for so many of us to really understand even what sound money is. If you ask 100 people what sound to give me the 10 characteristics all sound money must have, I would be doubtful if they can even name 3 or 4 of these characteristics. And that is why today you also have on Instagram a lot of people promoting themselves as sound money advocates that are promoting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies of no intrinsic value, which is crazy, because they're doing a lot more harm than good. Now, it's not that I am against cryptocurrencies, and I believe that cryptocurrencies can be used for good, but they need 100% backing of gold or something of intrinsic value to have the qualities of sound money. And so I talk about how I have found in my life that it's much easier to explain truth to either young children that have not yet entered in the academic system and been institutionalized and socially conditioned in that manner, or homeschool children, and also well-rounded martial artists. And I'll tell you what these two groups have in common that allow their thinking to remain open-minded and not so closed-minded to ideas and concepts that may be not only new to them, but maybe actually oppose their current belief system. So I discuss a lot of these kinds of topics, and if you're listening to this, you can probably imagine why I stopped posting on YouTube, because all these kinds of discussions were always demonetized the very minute. I'm talking the second I hit the publish button. Oh, the content of your YouTube video is not friendly to advertisers and has been demonetized, which is just insanity. So again, remember, you can find the link to where you can subscribe to my podcast below if this kind of these kind of subjects interest you, and if you're interested in hearing more, so you can go listen to this podcast, again, called Drawing the Veil Back on Universal Truth, because this is universal truth. So hopefully you'll go to that website and you can subscribe. If you want to become a patron of mine, you can go to patreon.com/SK Wealth Academy, and also receive a lot of information that I do not release on my public podcast. So there are some predictions that would have been very helpful to Bitcoin investors, because when Bitcoin hit 20,000, I predicted its price would get cut in half to 10,000, and it promptly did. And when it was cut to 10,000, it promptly was cut to 5,000. $1,000. And I said again that it could very well get cut in half. So I predicted that before it happened again. So that's all for today. It's all for now, very short and sweet. Go check out my podcast. Hope everyone's having a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you are. Always remember, remain intensely curious and bless up.